Hello, and welcome back to Not Here to Fix You, the podcast where we have real talk about food, healing, emotions, and everything in between. I'm your co host, Amanda, a food freedom and guilt recovery coach, helping driven women to eat with more freedom, less shame and guilt, and zero diets. And with me today is my other co host, Laziena.
I'm Laziena. I'm Laziena. I am your relationship repair coach. I help any and everybody repair a relationship with not only themselves, but the people that they love and care about, because being in relationship is where we thrive. We are not here to fix you. We are here to talk with you, and let's dive in. Today's episode is about breaking the guilt cycle before it spirals. And I really like this episode, first of all, that's even coming into the topic of how guilt and shame affects our emotional responses. So I think it definitely ties into a lot of food. I know for me, I have spent a lot of time shaming myself and being on that same guilt trip. So Amanda, I'd love to hear your expertise on this.
Right. So, since we're talking about shame and guilt and spiraling, that introduction was also a spiral. So, hope you're enjoying the theme.
Gosh,
But,
way to judge me, man. Goodness.
well, I just thought the viewers would, get a actual experience of what spiraling looks like. So,
Oh, I'm the definition of spirals. Well, you're welcome
no,
back.
I'm
It's,
kidding. I'm kidding. But that
I
was
know.
such a fun introduction where I'm like, Lazina. And then she said, Hi, Lazina.
It's been a while.
But
It's been a few weeks, not months, a few weeks since we've recorded, so takes a hot
yeah,
minute to get back into sync, I think.
true.
And
Anyway, now getting back to our topic, yes. I think that it like with food and yeah, I mean we're going to talk about a bit of emotions as well because we have guilt and shame spirals with our emotions as well. So I want to hear your perspective on that. But for now, let's touch on food. And I think it's interesting because when I first started coaching, uh, I didn't realize that everyone had a different trigger when it came to guilt and shame around food. Uh, like I always thought it was the same for everyone, but it's only after I coached a few people I realized like yes, we do have the same guilt and shame spirals, but they look different for different people because the trigger is different. So I actually ended up making a quiz which have like four types. It's called What is your food guilt type? And it basically talks about what is it that's making you lose control around food. And when Lazina came to me and we started coaching, I remember emotional eating was a big part of it,
yes.
right? Remember? Yeah. And it's funny. She's come such a long way. I'm so proud of her, but I actually made her take the test like a
Yes.
week or two ago. And what happened then? Like tell us what you actually got.
Well, for me, it was like more confirmation that yeah, I'm a night owl eater. I will, it's crazy because sometimes in the morning time at 6 o'clock, if I don't have anything to eat, th- I'm not hangry, but my entire body just starts to react and I need to eat. But there's times like when I'm home or if I'm having a slow day, I can go without eating. But the nighttime one, I have trouble sleeping. I don't always go to bed on time, and that's the time when in the past where loneliness used to kick in. But while I've reframed how food participate in those times, I'm still a night owl. I'm still there's still, it takes effort to be like, no, we're not going to make that choice right now because for me, shame and guilt, they are such codependent, they're in a codependent relationship. Guilt says, I I've done something bad, and shame says I am bad. So when I go into eating something that I'm not proud of, then my guilt starts coming in, and the shame starts, we're just doing that dance, and recognizing and knowing what that is now helps me. So the quiz itself in itself reiterated that my habits, as far as that's who I normally am, a night owl, though I've been that this way my whole life. It may not change, but I can change how I partake in, my food adventures at night. Yeah, so night.
Yeah. Yeah, there are four types. So Lazina's obviously one type was the night owl, and then we have the other three, which are the spiral, the swinger, and the soldier. And it's funny because I remember when we were coaching, I told you like I had struggled with emotional eating too at times.
Yeah.
And I really, really thought I was a night owl as well, except of
Mhm.
course for the part where I realized I really can't stay up too late. So I mean, yeah, that's there's that.
Yeah.
But I think I'm more of a spiral, and I'll go into the triggers for each one a little bit. And okay, let's start with the night owl because that's what you said you are. So I think with the night owl, what I've noticed is the trigger is unmet needs,
Mhm.
emotional needs.
Mhm.
And I don't know whether this tracks for you, but I feel like people like that, like the whole day, yes, they're busy with things, but come nighttime, I think they're just giving, giving, giving to others in the day. And then when come night, they're like, okay, now I want someone to give to me. But, that thought probably doesn't strike them. So I think that's when you kind of turn to food because it is kind of an emotional comfort experience. You're like, let me grab some food. I think I'm gonna feel really comforted. But maybe
Yeah.
that's not what you need. Maybe at night you actually just need someone to come and meet your needs, like
Yeah.
ask you how your day was, or I don't know, give you a good hug. Let's start with like a nice hug. Maybe that's all you ever needed, like the whole day. Yeah,
Yeah.
but by track. Okay, so that's great because I thought I was that, but then I was like, oh, I do have phases of emotional eating. I have had them, but I'm not a night owl. And then I discovered, oh, you know what I am? I'm the spiral because the trigger for the spiral is dysregulation.
Yeah.
So there's like, whenever there's a stressful moment or I'm going through like negative emotions, I would immediately turn to food. And it wasn't so much as to meet an emotional need, but it was more because that was the only thing that I felt was consistent. And I think I talked a little bit about this in one of our previous episodes, right? Where I said that I like pizza's my favorite and I used to use that as comfort, but then I also used it as consistency because food doesn't disappoint me. And as a spiral, I think when I was disappointed, I would turn to food to like make myself feel good and also maybe partially stuff down the negative feelings, but also just know that there's something out there that I can cling to that's consistent and makes me feel good in the moment. So that was actually a discovery when I was doing this quiz. I was like, oh my God, I'm not a night owl. And I thought I was a night owl. I'm actually the spiral. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting to see how we all have the guilt and shame, but then for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
it was, yeah, no, sorry, continue.
No, 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 please. I wanted to make
I
sure I didn't interrupt because you know me. I'm like excited to talk and I'm like, oh, but, and then
no,
that, and then this.
no, you talk because I think now, like I finishing a sentence and I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I was gonna say next. So Lazina, go
Yeah.
tell us what.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like a lot of that is psychological and it is emotional needs. And when we don't know what our emotional needs are, we're gonna rely on other ways to cope. And
Mhm.
it's like any addictive process with where dopamine is like the release. You're absolutely right. At the end of the day, we want to feel soft. We want to feel comforted. And when I've spent most of my life using food as that soft and comfort, it it doesn't automatically just disappear even when I do meet my emotional needs. I have to be consciously choosing to do that. And guilt is the one that activates the stress response because an event has happened and now I'm internalizing it. And then shame is gonna deepen it. It's gonna say, "Oh no, you're definitely messing up right now and you shouldn't be proud of yourself. I should have known better." And the spiral continues. I messed
Mm,
up again. They how am I gonna, especially with body image, that's a big one. It's like, oh my gosh, going clothes shopping or anything like that right after eating, it can really set our own negative thoughts on fire. So when it comes to the science, the neuroscience behind it, psychologically wise, um, shame and guilt plays has a hold in there, and it does take a lot of practice to even pause and notice that the body is going into shame or it is going into guilt, and also being able to name it. That's one of the things that's helped me. It's like,
mm,
okay, what am I feeling right now? And I can name it. And I can still choose to go get ice cream if I want, but at least I'm naming it. I'm not choosing it from a program, from a
mm.
belief or from the shame spiral, from that spiral. And I've learned to have better self-talk when it comes to those moments where I've shamed myself into eating something that I don't like. It's more like I can do better tomorrow. It's not the end of everything. I can make right now I can make a healthier choice. Tomorrow I can make a healthier choice, but having that self-compassion when when we allow shame and guilt to spiral. Because sometimes they have to. Sometimes we have to face that guilt and shame too in order to see what's behind of it because the behavior is just a coping mechanism. The feeling is that unmet need. So I reiterate, it's a lot of self-punishing, a lot of self-punishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And yeah, you did say the things that help are naming it because I think when I first came to you, I did say that I had trouble understanding my emotions, but even naming them, right? For me, it was like, oh, anger, like let's just say anger is one emotion, but then there are so many others to it.
Hmm.
Like there's disappointment, there's annoyance, it's a little bit, but for me, it was like anger. So like whether I was annoyed or I was disappointed or frustrated, it was all under one umbrella for me.
Yeah.
But you were like, no, no, no. You need to figure out which one it is you're feeling. Like
Yeah.
anger is the main one, but then which one is it? Which is the subcategory?
Right.
And I was like, okay, right. Naming it is important because I can't just go around saying I'm just angry. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then also figuring out why am I feeling this way? Like, what's this feeling trying to tell me? So what's this emotion trying to tell me? Have I like in your case, you probably looked at what was the unmet need
Yeah.
that you were not experiencing. For me, it was, oh, I'm feeling like really out of control right now. Like I'm dysregulated, like my nervous system's, short and emotionally also it's really volatile. So what is it that I actually need to stop, slow down and see where this is coming from? Because just grabbing food and using that
Mhm.
wasn't going to help. I was not doing a great job with it. And then, yeah, as soon as I ate it, it felt good in the moment. But then I was like, "Oh, now I feel so guilty that I had that pizza and it wasn't coming from, and I love pizza. So why am I feeling guilty?" So like
Yeah.
there was this whole confusion. And then feeling ashamed that I did this to my favorite, like I behaved this way with my favorite food. So
Yeah.
giving yourself a little bit of that self-compassion, like you said, talk nicely to yourself, but also being mindful
Hmm.
because sometimes you can't help it. Like we make mistakes, especially I want to say for the other two types, like the soldier and the swinger. So the swinger goes on willpower. So so for them it's like, oh, when I am very motivated and I like my willpower's at like level 10, I'm gonna do my best to be really good with what I eat. And then maybe the next day they wake up and I'm like, my motivation and willpower isn't so good today. So you know what, screw it. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna eat whatever comes my way. So
Right.
it's like all or nothing kind of thinking for them. And for the soldier, it's like discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline is what self-sabotages them because they want to eat perfectly. And then if they mess up by eating a little bit extra, then like, oh my God, like, this is the worst day. The world has come to an end and I'm terrible. So there goes the
Yeah.
guilt and shame cycle. So I think I would say notice the trigger for each one of the types. You need to figure out like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I look at how am I feeling in my body? Like am I regulated? Is my nervous system okay? Has something volatile happened to me emotionally that I'm like, reaching for food? If that's not the case, I know I'm good. I'm gonna make good decisions. And I think it would be the same for the night owl too, right? Like, but
Yeah.
it would be a different kind of talk for you all.
Yeah. And when it comes to like you were talking about, naming it or understanding the trigger, I feel like it can become it can sound impractical because if I'm having a busy day and I'm coming home and I'm just stressed out and I don't have time to sit down and be like, okay, why am I hungry? Or to look at my food intake habit, it can be discouraging. And I want to I feel like one of the messages that I want people to know is that when the triggers happen, that's the moment to go deeper because we sometimes get stuck in the trigger and it hijacks us. That shame and that guilt, it hijacks us from actually going deeper to see what's really happening underneath. What is the emotional need? So just, having that in the back of our minds that I might be a night owl eating person, and that's a coping habit, a coping mechanism for me because my unmet need is I just want to feel comforted. I want to feel connected. And instead of going and eating, I can, if I want to eat, I could choose something, from a powerful place, but put put things in place that gives me a healthier option, but also replace it with meditation, going for a walk, or calling someone just to say, "Hey, I just want to but being intentional with the call, like I'm feeling a little bit down, or I just want some connection today. How are you?" And I think that's something that we don't know that we can do. We can actually reach out to our friends and family and say, "I'm looking for connection." And if that becomes a hard conversation to have, there's things that can, maybe that's what's caused us to want to eat, but it's being mindful that how can I give that to myself? Because connection is also that internal connection. It could just mean journaling or watching a movie that allows us to feel safe and warm and fuzzy, I mean, I can list a whole bunch of other things that could replace it, but I'm only speaking from being the night owl. If I'm not, if I don't know, and I've only been taught that to have that motivation, like the soldier, to have that discipline is the only way to do it, I'm putting a lot of stress on my nervous system. I'm locking up myself in from repairing my relationship with food, and I have no idea that I'm doing that. So the key component there is when I have that feeling of guilt, like I shouldn't eat, or I find myself saying, "Oh, I gotta make up for this cake that I'm eating now." That is also a disconnection from my relationship with food because I'm saying cake is bad. What cake is not bad is how much cake I eat that's bad, right? It's how much I avoid it, how much what does that bring up to me? Because maybe somewhere along the line I learned a message that um eating sugar or eating sweets is bad, or I can't celebrate things. Eating cake means celebrating, and maybe I never felt celebrated, so I'm gonna try to block that feeling. And really, what I need to do is just focus on my fitness. Or maybe that's also stemming from having harsh words in childhood, being shamed or feeling shamed or feeling blamed for eating too much, or our culture, the shame-based eating. So I think like there's a lot to be said to go through the triggers, but it's not an easy process. It can be very tedious and impractical because the days is busy. one of the things that I like to highlight about that is that if my day is so busy that I cannot take the time to prioritize something that is beneficial for me, then I really need to do that's a call of action to say not that I'm not doing something right, but I'm not taking care of myself. I am not honoring me at all if I can't take a moment to really understand how I feel and what I need. So, whew, I feel like I talk a lot there. Now I'm judging
You
myself.
always say that. No, it's good. It's all good. No, but you did make some great points because excuse me, I don't know what's up with my voice today, but
Your
yeah,
voice is lovely, and I love it.
oh, thank you. But I think I'm coming. Yeah, I don't know. It's a change in the weather. It's raining here, although it's supposed to be our summer season. But yeah, um, I like that you said that it comes from childhood because
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of the guilt is learned. Like we learn it. We not.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met a kid who feels guilty about the food that they're eating or the way that they look.
Hmm.
That has always come from someone saying something to them, and then they think about it.
Yeah.
Then the guilt comes up, and then the shame comes like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I'm not good enough, or how could I have eaten that those many sweets? Someone told me that that's not good. But again, it comes back to behavior, but we're learning all these guilt and shame patterns when we're very
Yeah.
young
Hmm.
from either people that we surround ourselves with, our family, and not to shame them. This is not about blaming them.
Right.
They themselves have picked it up from their parents and their parents before them. And then the media is such a huge factor today. I think back in our time, we didn't have that much. Today, it's like,
You're
oh, well,
not
there's
that
social
old.
media.
Don't go back in our time. You're not that old.
What I
I
meant
know
was
what you
we
mean.
just had
I know what you
we just had TV. We didn't have like
mean.
I didn't have Instagram and Facebook. I'm so glad I grew up without that because
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much more shame and guilt I would live in with all those. So
Yeah.
I am super grateful that I didn't grow up in that era. But yeah, we're not that old. We're millennials. But I like I was actually thinking of something when you were saying that about your clothes shopping and then we beat ourselves up. Like I stood in lines, to try on clothes. And I have this funny thing about me, like I don't know, maybe I'm the only weirdo who does this, but
I like your
I would
weirdo.
always, oh, thank you, but yeah, maybe you like this too. I always used to get the bigger size.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm medium. I would always like pick large or extra large. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I would always do it. And
Yeah.
then I would also pick medium, but then I would also pick two other sizes bigger and go in there and try. One I want to think is it's because of practicality, like I didn't want to keep coming out.
Hmm.
But two was also because I think partially I was telling myself, like, there's no way I'm fitting into something smaller. So let's just go what I think, and then I think bigger. And I would always start off with the biggest size. I could try the biggest size and then go lower. And why I said I'm a weirdo is because I would always see women in the line with me picking
Yeah.
smaller size. And this is not to judge them. I never worked a day in retail, but even I could tell that that was not going to fit them. And I was just like, why do they give themselves this shame of picking something small and then going in there and trying it on and disappointing themselves and then coming out and like, going through the negative emotions. I never quite understood that. But what's interesting was I ordered a pair of shoes and I got them day before, right? And I tried them on and I thought I got the right size, but apparently the size was too big for me. But I didn't spend more than 5 minutes to make the decision that I'm gonna return this and look for something better. You know what I didn't do? I didn't look at my feet and be like, should have been bigger or smaller or whatever. These shoes are too pretty. How dare you not fit? I didn't say any of that stuff, but I think I have definitely said that when I do clothes shopping in the
Yeah.
past. I've definitely said that. And
Mm.
I think a lot of us have said that about ourselves. But I've never done that about footwear. Have you? I feel like none of us do that about our feet when we do. Exactly.
Probably not. Yeah. I don't,
So I
yeah.
think we need. we need to adopt that attitude when we go clothes shopping. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna try on these things, and if they don't fit, we're gonna find something better. And you will, because
Yeah.
I spent 20 minutes after that, but I did find better shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Shoes that would actually fit me and were more my style.
Yeah.
So I think the moral of the story is when we go clothes shopping, let's adopt the attitude of shoe shopping
Sure. Yeah.
because we don't like talk down to us.
I
We're
you
just
said
like, I'll
something.
find a better way.
You said something interesting that I didn't think about before. So when you go clothes shopping, you choose the bigger size so that if it doesn't fit, then you're like, okay. I'm emotionally my nervous system is now regulated so I can accept whatever else that comes underneath that gives me a more pleasurable experience. But if and I've done this in the past, I've gone and I picked a size that is what I thought I was gonna wear. And and when I go in there and I'm trying it on, I'm now upset with how I look, how I feel, and I'm not having a satisfactory experience. And then I'm now shopping from shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, for me, it was disappointment. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
disappointed. So I'd start with the bigger one. And
Yeah.
then, if it fit me or didn't fit me, I would be like, oh, it doesn't fit me. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. So I think I was doing the reverse
Yeah.
engineering because I didn't want to like already
You were
depress
trying to
myself.
avoid.
Yeah, I was like, and then when the same size that I knew was gonna fit me, I'm like, oh wow, it was like a happy surprise for
Yeah, like, oh, it fit me. I
that made me
like
so
that
happy.
though. I like that because I mean, from one perspective, it can look like I'm avoiding feeling the negative emotion, but it's another. It's like this is what my nervous system needs for this to be an enjoyable experience, and I'm okay with that. I like that. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about food, and now we're on clothing, but I think they do.
No, but
They
it's all connected. The
yeah,
shame and guilt goes to body image as well. So I just thought that it was an interesting, and it didn't even strike me till you said you did that for your nervous system. For me,
yeah,
it was such a reaction response, like I'm gonna do this, but I didn't even think about why I was doing that till you just said it. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I was trying to like regulate myself without, doing what you said you did. You tried on me like, oh, I'm already feeling terrible and
yeah.
whatever. So I was
After that,
having the best. And I was like, I obviously didn't know any other woman in the lines. I couldn't be like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should do the thing that I'm doing and a lot.
oh man, I know that feeling though. There was a time when I hated clothes shopping. It was just the most awful experience, and now it's better. So I'm glad that I'm in a healthier space to make better to regulate my nervous system in a healthier way, so I can meet my needs.
Yeah. And maybe next time you can try my method out and let me know
Oh,
how it
I
goes.
will. I will 100% try that. That's you know me. I'm embodiment, right? So I'm gonna go with that. But I think I really like this topic because it really highlighted everything that I mean, there's so much about guilt and shame when it comes to food. So being able to name it, being able to take a moment and breathe into it and see what it needs. That's a great opportunity to find your emotional needs. Because for me, I was like I was doing it from loneliness. And then after I looked at that loneliness and what it taught me, I was just looking for a deeper connection to myself. I was able to give that to me, and then it's one of the best relationships of my life.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I found out through this process that I always, most of the time, if I'm dysregulated, my nervous system short, or there's something crazy happening emotionally, that's when the spiral for me starts. So I need to be like that's made me more mindful of uh my own behaviors and the day-to-day tasks. So I definitely try to get my sleep in and not stress, not too much on my calendar, even though I know I used to be this person who needed to have like 10 things checked out. Now I'm like, no, no, no. Let's scale back. Let's, give myself some breathing room and not so I think for me, it's kind of funny because you can actually be more than one type. I kind of want to say that because
Yeah.
I don't want people thinking like, oh, I'm going to be only this or this. Like, I think I have even, there was a phase where I even think I was a bit of a soldier But then I'm not a person who can live with the crazy discipline mode. So that
Yeah.
didn't work for long. Went back to spiral. But yeah, you can be more than one type. I just want to say that. But like Lazina said, it's good to be like name the emotion that you're feeling. Try to get as deep and dig down as much as possible. Don't be like me and use the umbrella one, like sadness, anger, this, like that's what I used to do. Not good. Don't recommend. And also, yeah, hold some compassion for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked in one of our other episodes, like talk to yourself the way you talk to a friend. So obviously, if I had an episode and I came on here and not on here, but if I called Lazina and told her about it, she's not gonna like shame me about it. She's probably gonna tell me that I need to calm down and like, I just what's going on with me. She's gonna start asking questions like that. So do that for yourself. Like ask yourself what's going on with you. Even if you're in the thick of it, just take a moment to breathe, pause, and like ask yourself what's happening right now, whether it's an unmet emotional need or your nervous system short or you think you're horrible because you made one mistake because you didn't eat perfectly this week. I'm looking at you soldiers. Or you're like, yay, my motivation is so high today and now it's so low, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Swingers. So yeah, basically just look for the trigger and then like what Lazina laid out, think about what emotion it is and then take it from there. But do not if you do these two steps that we recommended, I can guarantee you're gonna stop that guilt spiral before it goes further and further and further.
And it doesn't have to be punishment. Guilt is just a way of saying I care, and you're looking for a deeper care for yourself. And shame is another way of saying, there may be some self-compassion that's needed here, some grace. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Amanda, I will
Okay.
let you close us off for today's episode, and you know how to do this.
Oh yeah. All right. So I guess we're gonna wrap up this episode. I hope you got some valuable information from here. And I am gonna link my quiz in the show notes along with Lazina's quiz as well. If anyone wants to dive deeper into their emotional repair language. And I actually like this topic as we were talking about it. I was like, oh, we should definitely do an episode where Lazina talks about shame and guilt, but from the perspective of emotions and our relationship with other people. Because there are so many times I've messed up with someone and then I feel the guilt and shame coming on. So I think that would also be an interesting episode. But today we mostly focused on food and body image, I want to say.
Yeah.
But it's always, as usual, good to be here and good to have you here with us. If you got any valuable information from this episode, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone else who you think is going to enjoy it. And next week, again, we're going to be back with another episode for you.
Yes.
So, till then, we'll say bye and see you next time.
Bye, y'all.